Hey everyone, Eric on Paper here, and I'm Eric, and we're going to break things up a little bit by doing this Generation 1 Optimus Prime drawing. A G1 Optimus Prime is a viewer request from Mr. Sarcasm, and I absolutely love the name, by the way. So, when I was doing research and trying to find the design for G1 I could best adapt, there are many different iterations of even the first G1 Optimus Prime. There's the toy, which looks a little different from the comic books, which looks a little different from the animated series. And so I tried to mix and match the best design elements from those and coming up with something that I thought more had the essence of G1 rather than sticking with an actual concrete design. And I just want to get this out of the way in that Optimus Prime is probably one of my favorite characters of all time. He's a hero that, I, as a kid, I'll be honest, I really looked up to. So, in a funny way, I was almost a bit intimidated doing this drawing. I tried to draw a really badass looking Prime with both his battle axe raised and his cannon out, and I was going to add some smoke later, some debris, and thinking that it would be part of the maybe the Cybertronian Wars. Now, the interesting thing is that I've been drawing a lot of human anatomy for quite some time, and when drawing a robot that isn't exactly human, I was getting thrown a little bit by the fact that the joints are in slightly different positions, and there's no musculature per se to really rely on. So part of it was just going by eye, part of it was looking at reference material, and I go in without a roller first just to see if I like the pose and roughing it in because it has that kind of energy, and then go back and refine it. Like I think I drew the what would be the lower arm way too thin in the first pass, so I just went in and added some more. Now, what I tend to find saves time in my drawings is to shade one area really well with the pencils and use that as a reference for the rest of the image. Now, I decided to have a light coming from the left side, or if you're looking at the just at the piece of paper, the right side. So all the shadows would be cast in varying degrees on on the left side of the paper or the right side of Prime. And with Prime, I wanted to communicate the various different metal textures in there. Some are chrome, some are, well, have at least a chrome finish. I'm not sure exactly what Transformers are made out of. I'm sure there's an answer in the fandom. I tend to find that machines, mechanical things, look best with thinner lines. I don't know why, but in my experience, at least that's the art that I tend to gravitate to, so that's the art I'm trying to replicate. I grew up watching the Transformers, even though I was born a little bit past their initial airtime. I remember watching reruns and thinking they were the coolest thing. Then watched a lot of Beast Wars growing up as well, and I felt so bad for my parents because they had bought me a VHS of the Transformers animated movie, and spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, I had no clue that Prime was going to die in that movie, let alone so dramatically. And honestly, I was just like, I had to turn off the tape. I was, crying my eyes out, and, then they felt bad. And looking it up later online, I wasn't the only one. There was a famous story about a boy locking himself in his room for about 4 days, and I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that just goes to show how a really well written, well embodied character can deeply affect and move people. And characters like Prime or Spider Man in the film that I'm working on, uh, it inspires us, I feel, to be the best versions of ourselves ideally, and we just want to see that strength. So going in here, the only pens that I am using are the Micron .005 and the Micron 1 and the brush for larger areas. And also crucial to remember is that Prime is casting shadows of himself back onto himself. So like his head is casting a shadow on his neck slash torso area, onto his arm and things like that. And then adding reflections like I did on the other side, just to give it a deeper, richer look. And a lot of my inking, I've noticed, tends to be influenced by artists actually like Kevin Eastman. I grew up reading a lot of Ninja Turtles. I just caught the tail end of the 80s when I was born, but still, I guess that era was so impactful that its artistic influence reached me even in the womb, I guess. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video to this where I color Prime, but I would like to know from you in the comments if you'd like to see him colored with Copics or colored digitally. I am probably going to be doing a digital version just for my website, which is www.ericonpaper.com. You can commission works from me there, as well as check out some of the other stuff I've done, and I will be uploading some more of my recent artwork on there very soon. The funny thing is, while drawing it, I mean, I absolutely love robots and mechanical things. They're like some of my favorite characters. Typically, if there's a team of superheroes or characters, whatever, I tend to gravitate towards the robot for whatever reason, probably because they're really neat. But yeah, the funny thing is, they're not 100% my favorite thing to draw, just because there's not a lot of forgiveness in drawing mechanical designs. They have to be perfect, symmetrical if the design calls for it, straight lines, and I'm a lot more organically inclined into drawing, muscles, shapes, landscapes. But I like this challenge quite a bit. Certainly shading and rendering metal is way more fun than, than anything else. It's sort of like an inker's playground. And since his axe is made up of energon, I believe, or energy, then I went in with a brush marker to give it a slightly more organic look, like I was just talking about, and the same with the smoke too. Went in with the brush the brush pen, and had a contrast with the rest of the piece and stand out more. And okay, as hilarious as this sounds, there's like so many different variations of Optimus Prime's, the crotch region, that all claim to be G1 designs. Like the toy looks different, as I said, than the comic, than the cartoon, than even some poster art that I have. That I just settled and picked one. So if there are any nitpickers about that, I'm sorry. I was just going with the best information that I had. But I had a lot of fun doing Optimus Prime. This was a challenging piece, and I would love to do more Transformers. Yeah, Prime was a lot of fun to do, so I'm going to be doing another video coloring this piece soon, and I'm probably going to go with digital colors. I might go with Copic. Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. And next up is going to be Alistair Smythe for Spider-Man 4, and hopefully I'll post that this weekend. And as well as a lot of other cool ideas, things I've got working on, more tokusatsu characters, maybe more Transformers if you enjoyed this video. And we'll see. In the meantime, keep telling your stories.